Hey everybody, it's time. Go get your snack, get your hydration, and get ready for Phenomenal Woman Rise Up with Terry K. Brown.
Well, good evening, everyone. This is Terry K. Brown with Phenomenal Woman Rise Up. Welcome to the show. I'm so glad you could join us this evening. I hope everybody had a great week. I know I say that every time, but I mean it. I do. We have a fabulous guest on our show tonight. His name is George Whitfield, and he is the care manager of the Department of Student Life at Cleveland State University. We're going to have a good conversation today. So let's bring Mr. Whitfield into the conversation right now.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm great. My dogs are acting crazy. I hope can you hear them barking?
A little bit, but that's fine. I have students on campus walking past my door, so it's
okay. Well, we're going to get this conversation started. It's so good to see you again.
So good to see you as well.
And just to give people a little background, I taught clinicals, nursing clinicals, first year clinicals, one semester at Cleveland State this year. And I got to know Mr. Whitfield because he is a advisor, a student manager at Cleveland State. And he has helped so many students. And he also has helped a relative of mine get their thoughts together about college. So I asked him to be a part of the show today to talk about the real life struggles for African American students and any student of color or any student for college life. And he so graciously accepted. So Mr. Whitfield, or should I call you George? Which one do you want?
You can call me George. It's fine.
Okay. Great. So George, just let our audience know what you do, why it interests you, and we can get the conversation started after that.
All right. Again, I am George William Whitfield. I am a care manager at Cleveland State University in the Division of Campus Engagement, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. It is a new division here at Cleveland State. And so we are excited about the hype and the energy that is happening on campus. And outside of campus, I hope this is okay to say, I am a pastor of a church in Akron, Ohio, called the Wesley Temple AME Zion Church. I know I have to shout them out because they'll be upset if they listen to this and I don't shout them out. And so, but the reason why this topic is of importance to me is as I'm an African American male, as you can tell, and I was a first generation college student. And so the many barriers that I had to jump over, there were people on college campuses that were there to help me, that looked like me, to be able to help me navigate this collegiate journey. And so I think it's important because we want more African Americans and more people of color to graduate and to see that they are able to make it in this world. And so that's why it's of importance to me.
You know, that's so true. That's so true. And that's one of the reasons why I accepted the part-time student clinical teacher for nursing, because I was so hoping that I would get an African-American nursing student so I could encourage her, because it is different for people of color in a college that's not a HBCU. Yeah. I always get it confused. It's different. And I didn't get one, but my students were great anyway, so I must say. But I think that we have to address this, because sometimes it's assumed that if you get into college, then you just go along like every other student. And as much as some people don't understand that there's a difference for African Americans and especially African American males at this climate.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
I do. I absolutely do agree. Because there's so many odds against us, right? As African American males, right? There are so many things that are out there, and so when we're entering college, when we're entering the workforce, when we're entering certain places, we have to work harder to be seen. We have to work harder to get what we want. Because of the stigmas and the different things that people, when they see us, that some people think about us, and so it is definitely hard.
Yeah, I mean, just and I don't mean to harp on this, but because I watch TV, but just looking on TV and seeing the negative images of African Americans males, it's like you have to kind of watch BET just to see African American male that's successful, that is not beating up a woman, that is going to a 9 to 5 that he owns,
Right.
and
Right.
is employing other people,
Right.
and dressing like successful or dressing casual and still being successful. You have to search hard just to find that image,
Right.
and if you don't see it, you don't think it's attainable.
Right.
What do you think about that?
Right. You're absolutely right. You do have to search hard. I grew up watching BET. So, watching BET and seeing those, the entertainers, and it wasn't just the musician. I mean, the singers or the rappers, but they were, when I was growing up, because I graduated from the Cleveland School of the Arts, I was a theater major. And so me seeing the actors and the actresses and me seeing the engineers, because, BET, they would bring different people. It wasn't always people who were entertaining, but people in the world, scientists and things like that, so that we are able to see persons that look like us. And that's why it's very important, when we are on campuses and we have the different, especially as a predominantly white institution, that we have the different organizations that are cultural organizations, like the Black Student Union and the African Student Union. All of these organizations is because we need to see us, right? We need to see us, and that's why I really enjoy BET. And even as I grow older and I look at the BET stations where they play only the different shows that people that look like us, people that directed that look like us, and it's very important for us to celebrate us.
Yeah, I tell you, I put out something on Facebook a little while ago because on the news they had all these. It looked like Black kids. I mean, I don't want to be biased, but it looked like all Black kids stealing these Kias, and they were talking about this is the new trend, stealing Kias. And so I put on my Facebook, there's a whole bunch of Black children and Black young adults that are preparing to go to school.
That's
preparing
right.
to be successful.
That's right.
They're not out there stealing Kias, but you don't see that on the news.
Right. But I mean, the media sometimes is good and sometimes the media is bad. And I dislike when I see negativity, especially of African Americans, right? Because when we're doing great things, and you often see it, when we're doing great things, we often hear us say, "Well, where's the media? The media should be here showing this when the young people are doing great things." But you often hear negative things, and you're absolutely right. There are a lot of African American students of color that are out there wanting to get an education, wanting to go down that positive route. But then, I pause because it's the social worker in me. Those persons that are out there stealing, right? It may be because and I'm not condoning stealing. I want no one to go back and say, Mr. Whitfield, Reverend Whitfield condoning stealing. I don't condone it. But there are resources that they're lacking, right? And sometimes they do things by any means necessary to get those resources. So what can we do to help them with the resources they need so they won't have to go out and do stuff like that?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to throw a little bit of statistics in here. because I could talk about that subject. So I was looking at this is from the Minorities in Higher Education, Washington, D.C., Office of Minorities in Higher Education of the American Council on Education. They said since 1999, the college participation rate for African American students has remained unchanged at 39.4%. while the whites' college participation rates remain at 43.9%. And they said, oh, I'm asking you, do you feel these numbers play a significant role in the power structure in changing the playing field for African Americans? I mean, are we really not enrolling in college? It's not changed since 1999?
Well, I think more, I think, I don't know the statistics that they give, but sometimes people think college, and college is the only way, but I include trade school, and all of those things in college. Like some students can't go to a 4-year institution, right? They would rather go to mechanic school or go to a trade school. And so, but I do believe that that these numbers, if these numbers are correct, if it hasn't changed since 1999, that it's still 39.4%, and our white counterparts are 43.9%. I do believe that it does play a significant role in the power structure, right? Because if more African Americans would go to school or go to trade school and they would get their degrees and they would become, get the same type of education that our white counterparts get, that I don't think that this power structure will be what it is today, right? What it is today if we were afforded the same opportunities, right? If we were afforded the same opportunities, it wouldn't be the way it is. And I think, I might get in trouble, but this is what I do. I'm always getting in trouble. But I think that's the fear, right? I think that's the fear that if we get the same resources and we move up and we're on the same level, right?
Yeah.
That people will fear that something, in their opinion, bad will happen. But no.
People are people.
Right.
And I tell this in nursing all the time. When I run across a young lady and she'll say, well, I want to go into nursing, or a young man, I'm going to go to LPN school. When I started out in nursing, I was in an LPN program, and my pharmacology teacher is a white lady. She pulled me to the side and she said, sweetheart, you need to be in an RN program. She said, you're going to be an LPN, you're going to pass, you're going to get it, you're smart, you're good, you're dedicated, but you're going to come out with the LPN and you're going to be doing the work of an RN, but you will not have the power. The RN will make the money, the RN will be able to make the same decisions you make, but no one will take you seriously because you don't have that RN. And it gives you power, just like a BSN gives you power over an RN. So I tell them all the time. They tell them, oh, it's an easy 18 months. You'll have your LPN. I'm like, no.
Right.
Put in that little few months of work and get that RN to start, because it's about having the leverage.
Yep. I'm so glad that you said that, because, and I do apologize if you hear my computer noise.
Look, I got dogs barking.
I'm so glad that you said that, because when I was in my master's program at Drew University, getting my master's in divinity, I was talking to one of my professors, one of my mentors, Dr. Presley, Arthur Presley, and we were talking about doctoral programs. Mm-hmm. And I was saying, I don't think I will be able to, go to get a doctorate because I have a learning disability. No one in my family has a EDD or a PhD. And he was like, well, if you got a doctorate, what do you want to be? I was like, well, I want to be the director of fraternity and sorority life. He said, that's it? You don't want to, you want to go further? You don't want to do nothing bigger? I was like, well, I can be, a vice president. He said, "That's it."
Mm-hmm.
And so he encouraged me. He's like, "You can do it. If you need to get a PhD, you need to get a PhD. You need to get a doctorate, and you have to aim high." So then I was like, well, I want to be the president of the university there. That I want to aim high. And you're absolutely right when you say, because that's what they want us to get the minimum. People want us to get the minimum. Just go get an LPN because you only want to be in school for a little bit. But no, you just want me to be the one that just, you tell me what to do. And I go around and have to do that. But now if I get to the point where, as you said, be an RN or BSN or MSN,
Yes.
right? As I go up, I get more power and I'm able to do more things and apply for more jobs and get into a higher positions.
Yeah, and bring somebody else along.
That's it.
Because once you're in a position to start making decisions,
That's
which
it.
you have to have the credentials to be there, and you start making decisions, then that's when you can start bringing somebody else along, like you doing, Mr. with George. I'm so used to calling.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
It's like you are so much of an advocate for these young African American men. It's like some of them just need to know that, first of all, that they can make it because they're looking at you.
Yeah.
You've made it. And also to know that there's struggles that only they are going to face.
Yeah.
And I think that for me as a woman, I think one of the barriers for African American men to not even consider a 4-year college is money, and then thinking they can't make the grades. Have you found that to be the biggest barriers? And if not, what else do they suffer through?
Well, I was thinking about that. A lot of students feel like they can't afford college. Like that there's a barrier to money. But I try to tell them, especially since me being in this position as a care manager and having to do research on resources and things of that nature, there is money out there for students, but you have to, it's not like there, like, it's not like, oh, you can see it, but you have to do research. There are, when I was growing up, I'm left-handed. Right. And so, the majority of the world is right-handed, but there's scholarships for persons who are left-handed in this world. Right. And so all you have to do is go find the scholarship. I know when I was growing, I don't know if it's probably still out here, but fill out the application for being left-handed. Right. And so, college is expensive. Right. It is expensive. I don't encourage people to take a whole bunch of loans out like I did. Find another avenue. But I think the biggest barrier, as you have alluded to, is that people think they can't afford college, or that because of their background that they won't be successful in college. Because I think a lot of students have an interest, but because of what has happened in maybe K through 12, right? And they were like, oh, I can't wait to get out of college. I can't wait to get out of school because I'm done. I'm just tired. It's because of the struggles they went through in K through 12. But it's like different when you get to college, because as we know, in college, your first few years is general eds. But then the remaining of your year is stuff that you like, that you want to do. And then when you get into a master's program, the whole program is about what you like. And so once you get, and that's what I try to encourage students, is like, college is great, right? College is great because you can hone on something that you like. And not even college. If you go to trade school, right? You love, you want to be a mechanic and you love fixing cars, go to a trade school, get that degree, get that certificate, and then you will be certified to be able to fix cars.
Yeah, I'm telling you, because everybody has a special gift,
Yes.
and I think because, especially nowadays, a lot of the younger people have so many struggles, like you said, between K to 12 in the school system. A lot of schools aren't seeing them, and because of all the struggles and the hurdles that happen before they even get into the classroom.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like you said, when a young man makes it through high school, the whole family rejoices because
Yeah.
it's like, thank God, because there's so many hurdles.
Yes.
But when you get to college, I know I went back to college when I was 52 when I started back and I went for nursing. And of course, everybody was 30 years younger than me. And I went to a 2-year college to get my RN and then transferred to Cleveland State to get my bachelor's. But I was not only the oldest person in every class, but I found that I was the only African American once we got past the preliminary classes. You remember when you were talking about the prerequisites?
Yeah, the gen eds.
Yeah, which can be tedious, but I had been out of high school like 40 years, so it was hard for me to go back into algebra. And sometimes when you start college, you go back to high school.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like mind blowing. Like, I don't really want to go through this anymore. But I wanted it so bad. I struggled through it, but I had people discourage me who should have been encouraging me.
Yeah.
Because at 52, I worked at a major corporate law firm before and while I was going to school. So I clearly was smart enough I got in the program, and clearly I was determined, but I found that any misstep, I was discouraged from continuing. Little subtle things like, maybe this is not for you, or maybe you should try something else. And I'm like, I have a career. I'm doing this because this is what I want to do. It's extra. So what can we do, or what resources are available for that young man who is discouraged by, and I'm telling you, I know it happens, and I know it's not you, but I know it happens, where if he has a job and oversleeps and is late, 5 minutes late for class, and the teacher tells him, you're not ready for college. You have to be on time. What do you say to young men to keep them coming and to keep them encouraged? Because, the world ain't kind.
Right. Well, in our culture, it depends on who's saying it to you, right? Especially in African American culture, it depends on who's saying it to you. If you have someone that you look up to, because I have a lot of students that come into my office, and I have to shut the door and have a conversation with them. Like, let me tell you, I'm going to tell you how I need to tell you, because you need to, you need to be successful, and you need those professors and those teachers and those educators and those mentors that will come along and encourage you. You're absolutely right. I had teachers in K through 12 that said negative things about me. I had, I don't really think in college, I had a lot of professors that said negative things about me because I had mentors that surrounded me. But I tell students that you need to get you someone on campus. Like, you need to identify someone on campus when you first get there, or, maybe you may not know, you're looking around, someone that you can go to and they can be real with you and have conversations with you. And don't get frustrated, because some professors, listen, as a care manager, sometimes I get frustrated at sometimes what some professors come back and say to me regarding a student. And I'm like, you don't have compassion? Like, we all went through some things. We're all going through some things. And a lot of the students now are students that are students of COVID, right? And so that's another barrier. That's another barrier for students to deal with this season of COVID. When I was going to school was one thing. When I first went to college, it was 9/11, right? I was a freshman, just started college at Wright State University when 9/11 happened. And so, and the professors had compassion. And so I tell students all the time, You have to have someone that will tell you the truth in love, and then that someone that will advocate for you. And that's one of the things that I'm so happy that I am in the position that I'm in, because I talk to students who are members of Cleveland State's community, and I tell them, as if they're not a member of Cleveland State community, they need someone to come and talk to and have a conversation with, just to give them some words of advice, because it's rough out here. And I tend to not try to tell my testimony often a lot. I tell it a lot, but I don't like that to be the focus when students are coming in. But I often have to tell them my testimony to let them know I get it. Yeah. You got a learning disability? Yep, I did too. It was stressful. Yeah. You have mom and dad on drugs. I did too. Right. It was stressful. Your grandmother raised you. Mine did too. I'm a first generation college student. And guess what? If I can make it, did I graduate from college in 2005? I did not. I was supposed to. I did not. I didn't graduate until 2009. But as long as I got it, and that is what matters. You need those people in your life to speak a word into you.
Oh, God, that's so true. Because like I said, I didn't have anybody to go to, but I was an adult. And I had my conviction, and I knew that, and these young people, I give it to y'all. I give it to the young folks for sticking in there and even trying, because it's amazing to me how much they deal with outside of the school. And as parents, y'all have to be there for these young people. They act like they can handle everything, and they got everything under control, but they are still young adults.
That's
they have not lived life like we have. We're a grown folks, and we understand and learned our lessons, and now they're in the process of doing that and trying to get an education. And in the education system now, it's rushed.
What I wanted to add, why sometimes in my opinion, sometimes parents can't really support students is because the parent never had anyone in their life to support them. And that's why it's very important. You're absolutely right. For those parents that went to college, for those parents that, I believe every parent has had issues, different things growing up. They need to encourage their family, encourage their children. But then that's why it's very important that we have mentors. We have those, in our culture, we call someone that is a mentor auntie or uncle, or grandma or mama, and they're not really related to us, but we look up to them. And that's why it's very important for those mentors, right? And being connected and having those resources. And that's why I believe a lot of students don't go to college, is because they don't have those mentors or those resources to encourage them to go to college and to be able to see them through. When I was in a senior in high school, it was a white woman that took me to my college orientation. Mm-hmm. Right. And she spoke a word into me and said, you're going to get through this college experience. And so if we would step up and do that same thing for a student that we come across, I believe that things will be different.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm telling you. And like I've been talking about the effects of help and mentors and participation from parents on younger people. But I wanted to end the month of August talking about college and, like you said, trade school or after high school. And this is such an important time in a young person's life, because you kind of feel accomplished from getting out of high school, but then some people just don't know what to do now, and it's not like there's so many opportunities. Like there's a lot of jobs at Wendy's or Best Buy or this, that, and the other, and they're just jobs. which is good because you got making money. But I just would like, I'm glad you're on because I would like people to understand how important it is, like you said, to have mentors and to have people in place for these young people who are transitioning from high school to adulthood.
Yeah.
And 4-year college, 2-year college,
Yeah.
trade school,
Yeah.
or broadcasting school,
Yeah.
or even counselor or helper, a volunteer somewhere. These opportunities are out there,
Yeah.
but a lot of young, they don't know nothing about these opportunities,
Right.
like the Link program and stuff like that. So
Right.
how do they find out about this kind of stuff?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of ways to find out. We have when you're in high school, you have the Upper Bound program. When you go to college, we have programs like Trio. I do know that in my fraternity has a mentoring program that we that we mentor young men and tell them about information. And the great thing about it is students can come on college campuses and get information without even being a student on the college campus, right? You can go to a community college. You can come up to Cleveland State. You can go to any community college. You can go to like trade schools to get the information, right? To get the information and the different resources that are out there for you.
They don't have to take their parent with them when they go to get the information?
They don't.
Okay.
Not always. You can come yourself. Some students. I have to tell a lot of students when they come into my office and they're here with their parent, and I'm talking to the student. Right. I'm not looking at the parent. I'm talking to the student, and I have to tell the student, that you are now in our eyes, you are 18 years old. You are grown. You are a college student, and you are responsible for your education. And so that's why I'm talking to you. Like, I can't give your parent any information, right? I can't give your parent any information without you telling me that it's okay. I had one student that needed to take medicine, right, for whatever reason, and asked me, well, what is the procedure of me taking medicine? And I was like, well, you can take it whenever you want to, just make sure you take it. Because, in high school or in elementary, you got to have the nurse and da-da-da. And so it amazes me how students are coming from high school and coming into college and have all of these questions. And I often wonder, are we doing a disservice to our students in the 12th grade, right? And not letting them know, what to expect when they come to college.
Wow.
Right. I mean, because coming to college, right, whether it's a trade school, whether it's a community college, whether it's a 4-year university, it opens, you are now grown up.
Yeah.
Right. You are now grown up. And I wish someone would have told me that. Right. And to tell you got to be careful of college campuses and people who will try to get you to get a credit card and get you to do this and get you to do that. And so that's why it's important for you to be connected even now. So if there's a 12th grader that's listening to this, if there's a parent that has a 12th grader or in high school, get your child connected to a mentor so that when they go to college, they'll have somebody on that college campus or wherever, trade school, that they can get those resources from. Right. And they can look up to, because there's so many resources out there.
I'm telling you. And I just did a show Sunday about, do you know who's in charge of making the active shooter plan for schools? So just like with college, as a parent, if you're paying for it, or as a student, since you're grown, you should know who is in charge of your safety, who's in charge of the money you're paying, who's in charge if something goes wrong in your dorm, who's in charge of the administration of the school that you're in. You should know that as an 18-year-old college student.
Yes.
You should know who is in charge, who makes the decisions, because you might have to go to them about something that's important to you. You know, you should know these things, and don't depend on your college counselor.
I'm so glad you said that, because some of the students, and I was one of those students, when you get mad, you just send an email to the president of the university, like the president of the university can do something. You know what I'm saying? Like you need to know who to go to, because what will happen is you'll send an email to the president of the university, then the president of the university will send the email to the person that it needs to go to, right? Or ask questions. And so you're absolutely right. You need to know who are the important players on college campuses. And the great thing about college campuses is that we see more persons of color or African American staff and faculty than we did in some school districts in America, right? We see more on campuses, and it may not always be professors, right? Because I only had like a few professors that were African American when I were there, but a lot of the staff members. And so when we're talking about the resources that are on campus, you're absolutely right. Go on campus and get there early and go around. See who works in the cafeteria. See who works in the caf, right? So one day maybe you may forget your ID, or you may not have enough money, but you know who's in charge there, and they'll say, you know what, I'll let you through this time because I know you, right? Know who works in the financial aid office. Know who works in the bookstore. Know who works in student life. Like our department, we're the Division of Campus Engagement, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and that's including a lot. We have the Office of Disability Services. We have campus engagement, which is our student organizations. We have our care management. We have Office of Disability Services, counseling, and there's so many more people under our division. You need to know, right? Like our vice president, right? You need to know.
Yep. You paying for it, you might as well get the whole experience. Don't just go to the football game and look at the cheerleaders and I'm in college. Pay attention from day one, because you have to take advantage of everything that you're going there for. It's not just in the classroom. Like you said, you have to go and find out what's going on and who knows what. And I'm going to tell you something, just like I said before about the kids in school, you should know who the cafeteria lady is, like you said, because they're going to look out for your child.
Listen, let me tell you, and then sometimes they get a little discount. I'm not this big for nothing. I love to eat, so I knew them. I knew the people in the cafeteria. Listen, I go down there now. The people that's down there now weren't there when I was going to school, but I know them now to the point where they see me. I was coming from getting some food from somewhere else off campus, and one of the ladies that work in the cafeteria yelled out of her car, "I see you didn't eat with us today." Listen, I know them.
Okay. And then also to know the people in the bursar's office. Did I say that? Because I'm going to tell you something. When it's time to make a payment and you're like, oh man, those people know when stuff is due, when it can be due, and know who to call if you find out you need some aid to this semester. They'll be like, well, hold on, sweetheart, because I know you, or I know your mother, or your daddy came up here and talked to us about his finances, and we're going to work this out. It pays to be present at the college or the school, the trade school you're at. Don't let them forget about you.
Right.
Okay? Especially if you're a person of color, because sometimes you're invisible anyway. I'm just saying. Don't.
Right.
Go ahead.
But I will also say, don't just show up when things are going wrong. Right? Don't just show up when you mad because your bill is $5,000 and you got a hole on your account. You need to show up when things are well, right? When things are well, and going past people and saying, good morning, how you doing today? And be that personable type of person, and let the people in the bursar office and especially when they do something for you, like when you email them or you call them and they help you out, send an email, stop by the office, thank you Thank you, Mr. Whitfield. Thank you, Mr. George, for doing et cetera, right? Because it makes us feel good, right? And you, I mean, you're not here to make us feel good, but that thank you goes a long way.
Yes, it does.
Because down the line, if you need something else, if you need a letter of recommendation, I can give you a letter of recommendation. All these things play into part, because you never know. You know, you may leave Cleveland State, get a degree, and then see somebody that you worked with in higher ed at Cleveland State now working at the company that you want a job at, and they remember.
Yep, I'm telling you. And I'm going to put a plug in here for Cleveland State. Cleveland State has come a long way. It's from way back when I graduated from high school in 1978, and it was good then. But Cleveland State has come a long way working with situations with people of color. They even have programs in place for if you age out of foster care.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that until I did my research.
Yeah.
So do you know anything about that, too?
Yeah, so it's the Sullivan Decker Scholarship Opportunity here at Cleveland State, and the great thing is it's in our division. So Jared Pratt is the director of it, and it provides an opportunity for youth who have experienced foster care to pursue undergrad degrees. You know, because we know that students who are in the foster care and they age out of foster care, they have nowhere to go. And so we have a program here. They're in the Rose Scholar, in the Rose Tower, that helps and promotes academic success and degree completion, right? It gives scholars receive professional guidance, educational support, and peer mentoring. Because we know that sometimes me telling you, you may not, listen to me, but if one of your peers tell you, someone who came through the program, you would listen to them more. And so it's a great program, and I love this, them, because when they're in the cafeteria and Jared Pratt is with them, he will be intentional about introducing those students to us. When we're sitting with the dean of students and things of that nature, so those students will know you can come and approach us. We're here. And so I know if there's someone if someone is looking, how do I get involved? What is the requirements? The student has to be in foster care, who are high school seniors or at least 17 years old, and younger than 20 years old, right? A student who will age out of foster care by the date of their high school graduation. There's an application. Just go online and fill out an application. Every year there's a deadline for the application. You have to apply to be a Cleveland State student first, and then once you get into being a Cleveland State student, then you can apply for the scholarship. They give you money for books. They put money on your your account for different things. And so if you are a student that's in foster care, or if you're a student that's aging out of foster care, Cleveland State is a great university. I got to plug it. My boss and them may be listening. Cleveland State is a great university for those type of programs.
Oh my God. I'm so glad. I knew they had came a long way, and I knew there were more African-American professors, because when I got my bachelor's degree, the professors that I came across that were African-American women, they were just like PhDs, and we're always kind of have to be way above, but these women were like 10 years younger than me. One was older than me, and they gave me such a presence of achievement. And it was like I said, I hadn't had anybody when I was getting my RN. And it was, they were promoting that 19-year-old, come on, which is fine, and luckily I had my own purpose. But to come to Cleveland State and just experience, and I send an email every Christmas to these women, because they gave me the push to just keep on going, because I was working full time during the pandemic. I have my family. We were trying to buy a house. All kinds of stuff was going on. And I looked at these. They were so accomplished. And I saw a lot of perseverance for them to keep the position they were in, with people steady challenging their right to be in that position. And I'm just going to say it. And I'm not saying people that work at Cleveland State. I'm talking about, I heard it from some of the students that, well, why are they requiring this? Why are they requiring that? When it's like, okay, you're getting a bachelor's degree here. Remember, you're going to have to do some work for it. They don't just hand it out. But I found that these professors that looked like me, that understood what I was doing, were just phenomenal in my success. I was summa cum laude, and I ended up being magna. That's a whole different situation. But I don't think I could have made it without the grace of God first, and the fact that these women made sure that I understood the assignment and that I knew that I could do it. So I tell you folks, if you've not understood the leaps and bounds that Cleveland State has made in all these years, and the mentors that they have accumulated, so to say, from people who have been successful, graduated from Cleveland State, come back and give back to Cleveland State through like the martial law. They have a program. I know when I worked at the law firm, there were many people of color that came from Cleveland martial law into the law firm to mentor the new associate attorneys. And they had the mock moot court, so there's the LINK program, there's the Sullivan Deckard Scholarship Program. There's all kinds of opportunities for our people of color to take advantage of.
Right. And I will also, I think I alluded to it earlier, TRIO. TRIO is here. TRIO is for first generation college students who, if you're a first generation college student and then there is a first generation college student, or if you're not a first generation college student or you, what is it? The financial aid, not financial aid. What is the word I'm looking for?
The grants,
the economic status, the low economic status.
Income.
Yeah, low income. That's the one. Thank you. Low income. There's a status there, if you were low income and things of that nature. And first generation college student, even if your parents went to college, but if they could have went to college, but if they didn't get a degree, you still are considered a first generation college student. And so you have those programs there. We have a veterans program, for those students who are vets. We have a Veterans Resource Center, which is a part of our division as well. So there's so many resources on Cleveland State's campus, and not only Cleveland State's campus, but there's so many resources on so many other campuses that I'm not going to say their names because I want you to come to Cleveland State, right? So, but there's so many resources. You just have to get on campus and figure out who you need to connect with. So if you come to Cleveland State, come to our division on the third floor of the Student Center, and we're here to help you navigate our college campus.
Woo, this is great. This has been great information. I'm so glad you took time out your busy schedule, because I know you busy. But look, everybody, Mr. Whitfield's information will be in the advertisements at the end, the trailer. Get the information. There's information about these programs too at the end. Get the information. If you don't have someone that is going to college or wants to go to college, pass it along to somebody else. Because ultimately, high school is good, but people always look at what you've done since high school, and they give you your cred on that. So if you come out of high school and you start a multi-million-dollar business, great. Yeah. But I suggest you get some kind of skill, get some kind of education, either 18-month, 2-year, or 4-year degree, get you a master's degree, get you a PhD, get whatever it is you want to get. There's, like he said, there's all kinds of money out here to get. If you left-handed, you can get some money. And
right.
you know, a lot of really smart people are left-handed. I'm just gonna tell you that.
That's right. That's right. We are.
Because everybody, when I was in school back in the 70s, when I came out, they used to always make left-handed people think that they were just stupid because they left-handed. Right. But contrary to popular belief, left-handed people are really smart.
Right, right.
So are right-handed, because I'm right-handed. Oh, God. But okay, I could talk forever. You know me. But I appreciate you, Mr. Whitfield. I appreciate what you do to help these students. If you can help, call Mr. Whitfield and ask, how can I help? I want to be a mentor. I want to offer some money. I want to start a scholarship. I want to, get some information to help somebody. Call him. The numbers and the email will be at the end. And give some kudos to our college advisors.
Right, right. Hey, there's one other resource I want to say, because I think it's a great resource. Here at Cleveland State, we have a food pantry. And so if there's persons out there that want to give back, if there's organizations out there that want to give back, we need toiletry items and we need food for our food pantry. Our food pantry is any of our students are able to come to our food pantry. And so when they are needing food, it's open throughout the semester. If a student needs to get into it after it's closed, if it's not open that day, we can get them in as care managers. And so I needed to make sure I said that because I'm trying to stop the stigma of that's out there of people who go to food pantries, right? Wow. And so there's no problem with going to a food pantry if you need the resources, right? And we know that college students can't. If you're hungry, you don't care about your college courses, right? And so we provide that resource here on campus as well.
So if someone wanted to drop off items, where do they drop them, or who do they call to find out?
They can call me.
Okay.
They can call me. They can call our Dean of Students, Allie Martin Schofield. We don't have we're currently looking for Lift Up Bikes. It's called Lift Up Bikes. That's our food pantry. It was resource center. We're currently looking for a coordinator. So if you're looking for a job, go to the Cleveland State's website and look up Lift Up Bikes coordinator. They're looking for someone to run our food pantry. So right now, until that person comes, they can contact me or they can contact our division, and we will get them connected.
And I got somebody in mind right now. I'm going to call them when this is over because I know somebody who has a heart of gold and she's available now and she could do this, but that's a whole different story. But so look, people, everybody can do something to help these college students. These young people have stepped out on faith to try to better themselves. And the least we could do is encourage and help and provide an avenue so they can see the end of the road. Because sometimes you just don't see it, so you quit, and then this is not what we want because everybody has something to offer. Am I telling the truth?
You are telling the truth, everybody. No matter what it is, everybody, no matter your economic status, no matter your upbringing, no matter where you're at, everyone has something to offer, even if it's your life experiences, because a lot of the students need to hear your life experiences so that they will know how they can move forward. You're absolutely right. Everyone is needed at the table.
Okay. So y'all heard it. College after high school education, let's put it that way, is important. So call up George Whitfield. The information will be at the end and let him know what you can do to help. And also, if you want to apply for the coordinator position, go up to the Cleveland State website and go under Lift Up Bikes, the coordinator position, because they need somebody. Once somebody is in place to run it, it could go a lot smoother and these young people can get the resources.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you. I thank you for giving me this opportunity to come on and talk about Cleveland State. I love Cleveland State. It's my alma mater. And so I'm looking forward to your viewers, looking for feedback and then getting connected with Cleveland State.
Okay, so you guys got it. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you're watching on Facebook, share with somebody. Okay. All right, and everybody have a great evening. See you soon, Mr. Whitfield. You know.
Yes, ma'am. All righty. See you later.
Okay, y'all watch the advertisements now. Okay. Bye-bye.